Hi, everyone. I am back with our weekly Q&As. If you remember at the beginning stages of COVID-19, I was doing these weekly Q&As. We were putting them out, I believe, every Tuesday for I think about 3 or 4 months. And then once gyms reopened, we kind of stayed away from the YouTube channel, and then we started an online training platform where we're doing weekly Q&As on that. Now that we're back into a semi-lockdown here in Vancouver, British Columbia, I decided to start putting up another Q&A on our YouTube channel. I'm going to probably do this for the next few weeks until restrictions ease off. Hopefully restrictions ease off. But for now, we're going to be putting up these videos, hopefully again every Tuesday. And I still will be putting out the Q&A on the online app as well. So if you're now an online app member, the weekly Q&A, it will be separate from this Q&A. So all members will still have access to that. So what I did was over the last few days, I asked clients, I sent out emails, text messages, DMs, asking people to forward me their questions. Any questions you had related to diet, training, supplementation. I actually got quite a few questions, so I was surprised how many questions I received over the last 3 or 4 days, especially given the fact it's the holidays. I know a lot of you guys are busy with friends and family, but I really appreciate that. So it keeps me busy. I like to work. I like to work if I can 7 days a week. So what I'm going to do, because there were so many questions, I'm going to actually split this up into a 2-part series. So we'll answer about 10 or 12 questions tonight, and then I'll answer the other 10 or 12 on the next following few days. So let's get started on the first question. First question is, do you think gyms are going to reopen on January 18th as stated per current COVID-19 restrictions? I actually think gyms should be open right now. I've made my opinion very public. I've said this in my blog. I've said this on Instagram. I've said this on Facebook. I don't see any data or any research backing the claims that COVID cases are rising because of gyms. And I'm actually including commercial gyms in this as well. I look at the numbers of the COVID cases rising, and yeah, it's getting pretty bad out there. The numbers are doubling, tripling every day. But again, I want to see this research that shows that these outbreaks are occurring at fitness facilities. I have a lot of friends that work in the fitness industry, and I've talked to people all around BC who work in private gyms and commercial gyms, and not a single one of them know anyone who's contracted COVID-19 in their gym, myself included. I don't have any clients that I know have contracted COVID-19, especially in our facility. So the question, though, is, do I think gyms will open come January 18th? And my answer is, I don't think they will. I think this is going to be extended for a few more months. I think this is going to be very similar to that first lockdown again. Now, when it comes to private training facilities like the one I work at, I think we might be able to get in a little bit early, only because we can actually control numbers on the floor. We're not in a big, large commercial gym like Fitness World, which is a locally chained commercial gym here in Vancouver that has sometimes 100 people on the floor at any given time. So I think in the private personal training facilities, we'll be able to manage it. Now, whether or not that happens in the next few weeks, that I don't know. Given the fact that I think over this past weekend, the holiday weekends, the numbers of COVID cases were in the thousands. So I don't see that happening anytime soon. So my own personal opinion, I do not think gyms will reopen come January 18th. I think this is going to be extended for a few months. Question number 2. What is your opinion on keto diets? Yeah, I've covered this a few times. I'm not a fan of ketosis diets. I know they work. They work exceptionally well. I know lots of people who've lost lots and lots of weight on ketosis diets. But here's the problem. All those people that lost all that weight, they gained it all back as soon as they came off the diet. Ketosis diets are not sustainable. And if a diet is not sustainable, it's not successful, period. Okay. I don't care how much weight you lose on it. If you can't keep that weight off long-term, the diet was not successful. It was a failure. The problem with ketosis diets, it makes your body so sensitive to carbohydrates. Only consuming a certain amount of macronutrients, being fats and protein, for a long period of time is not good for your body. There's two different versions of ketosis diets. There's the Atkins versions, which I absolutely hate, which is like, any type of fats, trans fats, like bacon, donuts, pastries, muffins, all this garbage. As long as it's, not muffins, not donuts, because those are carbohydrates, but there's only unhealthy fats. So anything that's a bad fat, like, sausages, that's okay. And then there's the good version of the ketosis diet, which is going to have things like omega-3 eggs, almonds, peanut butter. Even then, though, even though that's a healthier version of the ketosis diet, it's still not a good diet plan to go on. Your body, in my opinion, your brain needs carbohydrates. So the thing with ketosis diets is I'll use them every once in a while. I've used them for clients who I train for competitions, but I only use it for a short period of time, maybe those last 2 or 3 weeks if I need to really just get those last few pounds of body fat off of them. And sometimes I'll use them at the beginning of a diet if I'm working with someone who has a lot of weight to lose. It kind of gives them a good kickstart into the plan. It allows them to actually lose a little bit more weight a little bit quicker. And then I'll incorporate some more complex carbohydrates back into the plan as we start going. Again, carbohydrates are not the problem. You know, if you're eating things like yams, sweet potatoes, brown rice, and quinoa, shouldn't be an issue. It's the problem is when you start going off and you start going into the white breads, you know, the white pasta, white potatoes, that type of stuff. It's a little heavy. And those are the things that I don't even put on a diet anyway. So I don't think ketosis diets are the way to go. I think they have their place. But again, I wouldn't use it long-term. Question number 3. Is it okay to eat red meat 3 times a day? I personally don't eat red meat at all. I find red meat's very hard on the digestive tract. There are some links with colon cancer and red meat as well. So for myself personally, I stay away from red meat. Now, with that said, I do put red meat on people's nutritional plans. However, I usually recommend to my clients that consume no more than once or twice a week, never mind a day. So I wouldn't recommend consuming red meat 3 times a day. I wouldn't recommend considering any meat 3 times a day, actually. So that includes chicken, cod, salmon. You know, mix up your protein sources. You don't even have to get all your protein sources from meat. You can get it from beans, lentils, egg whites, whey protein powder. So you don't just have to stick to one particular protein source. So to answer that question, no, I would definitely recommend not consuming red meat 3 times a week. And I would actually really, really take that back to maybe just once or twice a week total, or 3 times a day. I don't recommend that. How are you able to train clients online? Same way I train clients in person. Most of the people I work with online are pretty self-motivated. They go to the gym, they train on their own. They know how to work out. They don't need me by their side, you know, taking them through an entire workout. Now, with that said, what they do need though is someone that can structure a plan for them. Now, whether that plan be a training program or a nutritional plan or a combination of the two, this is where a good coach comes in who has a second set of eyes who can actually guide you in the right direction. It's funny because, you know, we look at ourselves all the time and, you know, whether or not we're progressing or not, it's hard to tell because you see yourself in the mirror every day. So if you have that second set of eyes on you and you can say, okay, you know, I think we need to adjust this, or I think we need to include a little bit more back exercises, or we need to tone down the volume of your lower body workouts. You know, that can help. And when it comes to diet, if I'm working with someone who needs to lose weight and they haven't lost a pound or 2 in say 2 weeks, then it's up for me to adjust those macronutrients accordingly. And that doesn't necessarily mean, you know, taking down someone's carbohydrates and lowering all their calories. Sometimes it actually just means rotating their macronutrients. So sometimes I'll have someone who hasn't lost any weight, and what I'll do is I'll decrease their fat, increase their carbs, rotate their protein, and boom, they're down 3 pounds the next week. It happens all the time. So that's again where it comes into having a good coach in your corner who can actually just steer you in the right direction. And that's what I do with my clients who work with me online. They send me bi-weekly check-ins that include photos. I don't work with, most of the people I work with online don't see me in person. In fact, most of the people that work with me online actually don't even live in Vancouver. So what I rely on are photos and the scale. If I'm not seeing changes in the photos, if I'm not seeing changes on the scale, that's when I make changes on the plan. If everything's going well, I leave the plan alone. Okay. But again, this is where it comes down to having a good coach in your corner who can make those adjustments, and working with someone who's experienced, who knows, okay, well, if this is not working, let's try this. Okay. So someone who can assess your physique honestly and be quite critical of how you're looking and how you're doing on your plan. I think that's crucial. So yeah, online training has become very popular over the last few years, especially during COVID-19. My online roster has been full for the better part of 2021. And now with the current restrictions here in Vancouver, British Columbia, again, it's getting pretty full again. So online training is taking off. And yeah, I think it's a super popular service that's going to continue to grow as we continue as a company. Question number 5. I'm a 6'3" male and have been lifting weights for 10 plus years. I can never buy clothes that fit me due to my non-normal dimensions. How do you find clothes to wear outside the gym that fit you properly? Yeah, this is a tough one. I had the same problem. One of the things that I do is I get a lot of my clothes custom made, including my t-shirts. The problem is when you work out and you put on muscle, man or woman, you're not going to be the normal dimensions, as this person says. I'll take jeans for example. In my size, I'm a 32 waist. I have to take a size 38 pair of jeans just to get my legs in. So, those type of jeans don't look too good on me because they're really baggy around my legs. So I actually have to get my jeans taken in. Same thing for suits. I have to get everything customized just for myself. So I would recommend not buying off the rack. I know it's a little bit more pricey, but if you want your clothes to fit you properly, you're going to have to get them custom made for you, custom fitted. That's what I would do. I would just go to a good tailor and get, you don't need a lot of clothes, maybe 2-3 pairs of jeans, a couple of t-shirts, some nice shirts, a few pairs, if you're a guy, a few suits, women, a few blouses, just something, that fits you well and looks good on you. Okay. Question 6. Do you have any recommendations on how to bring up a lagging body part? Should I be training it more often each week? Actually, when it comes to lagging body parts, I usually advise people to train them less often. There's a reason for that. Muscle grows outside of the gym, not inside the gym. So when you're training a muscle, guess what? You're going to take it to true failure. It needs to recover. And that's when it grows. When you rest, recovering, you're eating, that's when the muscle grows. So training it more is not going to get you better results. In fact, it's probably actually going to do the opposite. Now, I have a lot of people I work with who think women are a perfect example. I work with a lot of women who think the more that they train their legs, the better they're going to grow their glutes or their hamstrings. And so I have some female clients that tell me they're squatting 3-4 times a week. And I go, if you're squatting 3-4 times a week, in my opinion, you're not squatting intensely enough. I squat once a week, that's more than enough. But if I want to bring up my legs, it's an overall package. So what I might do for someone like that who feels like that their glutes are a little bit behind schedule, what I might do is give them one day where they focus primarily on their quadriceps and another day where they focus primarily on their glutes, hamstrings, and calves. And then they still have 2 leg workouts, but they're 2 completely different leg workouts. So you're not squatting twice a week. You're not doing straight leg deadlifts or hip thrusts twice a week. I think that's actually going to create more muscular imbalances and more problems down the road. So if you have a lagging body part, I wouldn't necessarily recommend training it more, but I would put a little bit more intensity and possibly a little bit more volume into that one workout where you are training it, and then give it a full 6-7 days to recover and then hit it hard really again. Okay. That's that, in my opinion, that is the best way to bring up a lagging body part. Question number 7. Do you have any new updates on your health since your seizure from a few months ago? So for those of you that don't know, I suffered a grand mal seizure back in March of this year. I was just doing a basic arm workout. The workout had finished, actually. I had gone over to our water cooler in the gym, just getting a drink of water. And then apparently, according to some of the trainers on the floor, they told me that I just let out a big yell, fell down to the floor, and I started convulsing for I think they said for about 60 seconds. Ambulance came, picked me up. I woke up in the ambulance. That's what I remember. And then they did they did actually 2 CT scans on me that day. And then a few days later, they did an MRI. And then after that, they did another MRI. And then they did, I think 2 or 3, I can't remember, but I think it was 2 EEG tests as well. So I had a lot of tests done and everything came back looking good. My blood work came back well as well. And then after a few more months, I went back to my neurologist and we sat down and we went over my MRI results again, because I had another MRI taken a few months later and everything looked normal. So there's no signs of MS, no signs of epilepsy, no brain tumor, no brain cancer, thank God. Everything looks good. So what I attribute that seizure to was a lack of sleep. I was working on maybe 3 or 4 hours of sleep a night for the better part of 8 to 9 months, especially when the restrictions were taken off. We were so busy and I was at the gym from 5 a.m. some days until 10 p.m. at night. And then on top of that, doing the online work. So I think that's what happened. I think it was a lack of sleep. And so far, it's been one-off seizures. So one-off seizures do happen. So far, I feel pretty good. Hopefully, I stay good. And but right now, I feel pretty good. Question number 8. My gym is currently closed, and I'm finding it difficult to stay motivated with my diet. Do you have any tips on how to diet now that I'm not working out as often? Diet and training go hand in hand. You can't have one without the other, right? I mean, a lot of people say, well, it's 80% diet, 20% training. To me, it's 50-50. Now, the problem is with these current restrictions here in BC, the training has been taken away. Okay, now we've never really been in a situation like this before COVID-19. So now we have to be a little bit more creative with our diet, because now diet really is pretty much 100%. So what I've been telling my clients is now is not the time to get sloppy on your diet. If anything, now is the time to put 100% focus into your diet. Okay. If you can't train, guess what? That doesn't necessarily mean you have to eat less. You just have to be a little bit more smart with your diet. Those weekly cheat meals, instead of doing 1 or 2 cheat meals a week, I personally would just get rid of them completely. I mean, what do you need a cheat meal for really right now? When it comes to training, even though you don't have a gym to go to, you can still do push-ups, sit-ups, anything that's crunches, that just gets body weight exercise, gets you moving, go for a few speed walks outside, anything. But again, the diet's going to have to take over for the better part of the next few weeks, possibly months. And if anything, this is the time to really stay laser focused on that diet. Even Christmas Day, I got up, I had my oatmeal in the morning. I had my chicken and rice for meal 2. I had my cod and my yams for meal 3. I had my salmon and quinoa for meal 4. I kept on the diet. And, even though I couldn't train to the intensity that I would like to train, I still stay focused on my diet. So if anything, I know it's difficult, but now is not the time to give up on your diet. You shouldn't just let everything go to shit because you can't go to the gym. Because I promise you, when the gyms do reopen, you don't want to be 10 steps behind. You might be a little bit behind, maybe lose a little bit of muscle because you don't have access to the same equipment that you had access to when the gyms were open. But at least your body has not gone completely to shit because you gave up on your diet. Question number 9. Do you think it's possible to be in a relationship with someone who doesn't enjoy being fit and active? I love working out and enjoy going to the gym. The problem is that my partner hates the gym and doesn't like that I spend so much time working on my physique. Any advice would be greatly appreciated. I'm the last person to give relationship advice. However, I can give some advice on what I would do in a situation if I was with someone who was not into the gym. I've dated people who were not really into the gym. It never really bothered me, and it never really bothered them that I'd go to the gym. I've dated people that were really into the gym, and sometimes I would even train with them. The problem is that if you're with someone that has a problem with you going to the gym, that might become an issue down the road. Now, the people I've been with in the past who were not really into the gym, they didn't mind that I would go to the gym. It never really bothered them whatsoever. I mean, when I would go do my workouts, my workout would take an hour max in and out of the gym. I'd be back home, 90 minutes tops. I think the issue though is with some people who go to the gym, they spend 3 to 4 hours in the gym and they obsess about every little thing that they do with their diet, and it becomes too much. And then as for someone who's not really into the fitness industry, yeah, they might be like, okay, this is a pain in the ass for me. So my recommendation is to scale back on your training. If you yourself are one of those people that are in the gym for 2-3 hours, I wouldn't want to be with someone like that either. Unless I'm like a competitor really into the gym, and no. So I think there's a balance to find too. It wouldn't bother me if I was with someone who wasn't really into the gym. It never has in the past. It is nice to have something in common with someone that you're dating or that you're married to, of course, but it doesn't necessarily have to be fitness, right? As long as it doesn't affect how you feel about yourself, I say it can be done. But again, if this person is making you feel bad about going to the gym and working on your body and doing something that you like as a stress reliever, not only for your physical health, but we all know how great working out is for your mental health as well, then that might be a relationship that I would start second guessing. That's just me though. Question 10. Is it necessary to take steroids if I want to start competing in bodybuilding competitions? No. If you want to compete in local amateur shows and do the amateur circuit, I wouldn't say you need to take steroids. Now, if you want to get higher up there to the provincial level and to the professional level and the national levels, and yes, because at that point, I mean, most of the guys are juicing. And if you want to compete and the women too, and if you want to compete with that level, then you got to get up to that level yourself. But if you're just an amateur and you want to compete at local levels and bodybuilding is like a hobby for you, like it was for me, then I see no reason why you have to take anabolic steroids. I work with clients who use anabolic steroids, both men and women, and I work with clients that don't use anabolic steroids. And I've never actually said to somebody, you should or you shouldn't take steroids. I mean, we're all adults. They can make that decision. I can just guide them. Okay. There's enough information out there now online, good and bad, that can inform you whether or not you're making the right decision for what you want. But again, if you want to compete at local level shows and just have fun with it, I wouldn't go down the steroid route. If you wanted to make it a job and you want to try to be a bodybuilder or fitness competitor, yeah, you might have to go down that route unless you have superior genetics, which unfortunately most of us do not have. You're going to have to, if you want to play with the big boys, you have to start doing what the big boys are doing. A lot of my friends who still compete, I mean, off season, they're into the 250, 260 pounds. And I never wanted to go down that route. I like being, right now I'm 210 pounds. I feel good. I feel healthy. I can walk up a flight of stairs. I don't have to catch my breath. I can run if I need to. I can bend over, tie my shoes without, having to catch my breath. A lot of the guys I know, they can't even do that because they're so big. So you have to start thinking about the health ramifications of using anabolic steroids long-term. Statistically speaking, it doesn't look too well for the guys who are entering into their late 50s, early 60s. A lot of these guys are having heart attacks at early ages and dying now. Now, I think that's from steroid abuse. I think steroids can be done as long as they're done in a safe and in an effective manner. But people who abuse them, it doesn't look too good for them. And let's be honest. I mean, how big do you really want to get? If you're a guy, I mean, when does it become too much? Personally, I don't want to be 50 something years old walking around at 300 pounds. So when it comes to taking anabolic steroids, that's a decision you have to make. As a coach, I can guide people for the pros and the cons, but again, I never try to steer someone towards either. It's really up to the individual. And like I said, I work with a lot of competitors who've never touched anabolic steroids, and that's just a personal choice. Do they look as good as the people on stage who do use steroids? No, honestly, they don't, and they know that. But at the end of the day, you have to figure out, what's more important to you, winning a $5 trophy or the health ramifications down the road. So you kind of have to really, weigh out your options. And that's a decision that only you can make. Last question. I'm a vegetarian and my current coach tells me that if I want to start putting on serious muscle, that I need to start eating meat. Is this true? Absolutely not. I work currently with 3 vegans on my roster right now, and I have, I think about 5 vegetarians that I work with. And all of them have fantastic physiques. They look amazing. These people have been training with me for quite a long time. And I inherited a lot of them from previous coaches as well, who actually told them the same thing, that they're going to have to start eating meat if they want to put on muscle. And that's simply not true. I mean, you can put on muscle from beans, lentils, again, whey protein powder, egg whites. There's lots of options out there. The problem with vegetarian diets, and any vegan and vegetarian will tell you the same thing, is that their main protein sources do contain carbohydrates. So you have to be careful as to how you structure your nutritional plan. For example, if I'm working with a meat eater, I might give them 7 ounces of cod and half a cup of brown rice. Now, if I'm working with a vegetarian, now I can't use that piece of 7 ounces of cod. So I might have to give them, say, half a cup of lentils, and then I'll give them no rice because they're already getting carbohydrates from those lentils. So there's no reason for me to give them more carbohydrates. I don't want to turn a 30 grams of carb meal into a 60 gram of carb meal if the client I'm working with is trying to actually lose weight. Even if they're not trying to lose weight, there's no reason to have an abundance amount of carbohydrates in the diet. So that's the one thing I do when I'm working with a vegetarian or a vegan, is I just not completely take the carbs out, but I definitely watch my carbohydrate intake. If I'm using a lot of protein sources that are beans and lentils, those type of things, I will make sure that I'm watching the carb intake. So I'll be very careful with the rice, very careful with the quinoa, the yams, that type of stuff. Okay. So, but as far as putting on muscle, no, you can put on lots of muscle, vegan, vegetarian. I actually did a vegetarian diet. I did one for, I think, about 6 to 8 months, and I loved it. I thought it was great. The only reason I came off of it, though, after a while, I just got tired of I wanted meat again. I just got tired of being vegetarian. But as far as my strength in the gym, I felt strong. My workouts were great. I didn't put on any additional body fat. I think I actually put on some more muscle just because I changed my diet. I shocked my body a little bit. But so, yeah, no, I would say your coach is wrong. And I would second guess his or her thoughts about that, because I don't think that's right. I think you can definitely put on muscle on a vegetarian or vegan diet. So like I said, we received quite a few questions this week. I have another about 15, 16 questions to get through. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break this up into a 2-part series, answer these questions another time this week, and I'll post another video on our YouTube channel. But for now, this is our first Q&A back during COVID-19 lockdowns, part 2. I'll be putting up a weekly episode every week until these restrictions ease off a bit. Hopefully they ease off in the next few weeks, months. But I have a feeling we're going to be in this for a while. So you'll be seeing me again soon. Thank you everyone for watching, and have a good night.